know when that was.
Yeah, no, it was like it was
So
that
I got it.
so we're back in. It
So
was that
I
action. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to here now and start sharing this. So I am excited today to be talking about the ebbs and flows of life. So this is the beginning of a 5-week series of how to get through the down times, like when you're feeling everything's like super heavy, things are all going wrong, or something really bad has happened and you're not really sure how to get through it. And sometimes we're in a space that it may be embarrassing to talk to a lot of people about what happened. So we tend to keep it to ourselves and we go through the downs by ourselves. And it's not because we don't have anyone, it's because we don't let anyone in. And sometimes we just don't know who's safe to let in. That can be a very vulnerable time. And then also during that time, a lot of us were raised in a place of like shame and guilt and judgment instead of a place of like rising up and love and understanding it's just part of life. You know, you're going to have your ups and downs. So life is more like a spiral. So I did create a handout. So in the chat on Zoom, if you want to open it up, you can open this up. It's the rhythm of life. It's just the week one handout. So this is about some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about, but it's all just here for you to easy access. Um, okay, so understanding the ups and downs. Um, just because you're in a down period, I want to mention this is that it's not because you've done something wrong. Maybe you have, but that doesn't always have to be the reason. And you don't also have to guilt yourself or like feel bad or shame. And you can feel bad. There's nothing wrong with how you feel. But I'm going to explain what the whole point of it really is so that you can see it in a different perspective. Because, like, really, when it comes down to it, life is just like full of so many perspectives. So, if your perspective doesn't feel good, there's probably another one that feels better. And I'm not saying that just choose a different perspective, which that probably is the case. But it's understanding and looking at things differently. So you have a different awareness, and your eyes do seem to open up a little bit more when looking at it. Now hearing somebody else's. So, the purpose of this class is to help you understand that life is not linear. It's not a straight line of success and failure. It isn't like you just keep going and keep going, and all of a sudden you have success and it never goes away. We actually have cycles in our life. And if you've taken some of my previous classes, we've done something about the cycles of life and like even your own specific life. And we broke up the Rosicrucian cycles of life every 52 days. And I actually added this worksheet here that for the cycles of life, which I'm going to share later. I'm going to show you guys later too. And if I don't, just remind me. But I have some notes, so hopefully I won't overlook it. But that's the old cycles of life worksheet that we've used in a previous class. But for everybody who's in this class today or is viewing it, the cycles of life, this is a good breakdown of understanding yourself. It just goes off of you, and you'll know like kind of what cycle in your life you are, because there's a time to harvest, there's a time to sow, there's all kinds of seasons in your life. And it's kind of nice to be aware of what season you're in so you're not so hard on yourself, and you could use it to your advantage, because even in the down cycles, there are good to come out of it. So it's good to know all of this so that you don't look at it like, oh my God, this sucks, it sucks. And you can think that, that's fine, but hopefully you'll see it a little differently. Okay, so every season, emotion, downtime has a purpose. This is how God and the universe grow through your strength, your faith, and your wisdom. Wisdom comes from pain. Unfortunately, that seems to be the way it is. And your faith does grow stronger in the down times. And in the up times, that strong faith comes in handy. This is the times that you manifest. So I look at life like a spiral. So, but the spiral doesn't just stay like this. Now, some people seem to do this, but we're supposed to be doing this and expanding and going up. And so it's kind of like this. And like On these down times, these are the times that our pencil's being sharpened. And at the up time, this is when we're writing, we're manifesting, we're creating. And so there's a time to manifest and there's a time to sharpen. And so you'll understand these cycles by just seeing what's going on in your life and then also paying attention. And then if you mess with the worksheet for cycles of life, you can help understand what's going on in your own life too. So every 52 days, you actually enter a new cycle. And then every year, there's another cycle on that. So there's yearly cycles and then even cycles within your life. So, um, so about that, let's go back to where I was because I'm about to go all over the place. Okay, so life moves like an ocean. It rises and it falls, as above, so below. But no wave ever disappears. It simply becomes part of the next. Sometimes you're on the high tide. Everything's flowing. You feel like you know it all. You're on top. Doors are opening easily. You feel connected to God and to your purpose. And you feel like that time is going to last forever because you feel like you learned all your lessons and yeah, here you are. But it's not going to last. This too shall pass. And it isn't to get depressed, it's to appreciate the moment, to be in that moment as much as you can, because that moment won't ever come again. And it's the down times that make you appreciate the up times more. So, so other times you're in a low tide and things are slowing down. You feel still, and then you feel confusion. You may feel disconnected, but both sides are part of your growth. This is part of life cycles. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything to be punished. You're just in a different part of the rhythm of life. So I like using this farmer analogy because I look at it like, could you imagine if a farmer, the first farmer ever, planted some stuff and it's growing, he harvests, and all of a sudden everything dies, and he's like, "Oh my God, what did I do wrong?" And he gets all really sad about it and never tries again. It's like not realizing that was just the way that goes. You have to plant again, you have to till, you have to fertilize the soil, and then you have to start planting again. And like, if every time that after the harvest, when everything starts dying off, you give up, you're not going to get to the next thing because you were supposed to learn some wisdom, learn some stuff along the way that makes you even a better farmer the next season. So like during that time, like maybe you realize like your plants or you reap what you sow, your fruits come from your roots. So if you uh, if you notice that your fruits weren't really coming in very well and you realize the soil may need more nitrogen, you learned along the way there was something that you were missing, some kind of character trait or fertilizer, whatever it is. And next year, now you can add that to the soil while you're preparing it. So now your fruits are even better. So it's like that's what it's about. Like it's understanding what could have I done better so that this is the time of reflection, self-reflection, introspection. And it's like, what could I do better the next time this comes around? Because it's going to come around again. You plant your seeds again, you harvest again. That's going to happen again. No matter how much of a load time you have right now, there's that law of polarity. So as good is also as bad. So like however bad your life has been is also as high as it could be. Now, this is way deeper than that, but that's just one part of it, one part of that law. So there's a time to, even Jesus taught using nature as an example of the seasons because it does reflect the way the universe works. Just like Hermetic philosophy talks about it, just like universal laws, all of this goes together. So a farmer knows each season serves a purpose. He doesn't panic when winter comes because he knows that's part of the seasons. He just trusts that's what's hidden in the soil will grow again in time. And so he knows that, it's going to happen again. And that's a faith. That's part of having faith, just knowing that I've planted the seeds, I've done my part. Now I've got to let the rest flow. I've got to let the rest of it go. And that surrendering, that allowing, that's usually the time that people don't want to do that. So they'll resist that feeling and they'll feel like giving up, But really, what you're being shown to do is not really give up, it's to surrender. And there's a different feeling, a different energy you're coming from. When you finally just surrender, you're giving space for God to work so that you can start getting those miracles coming in, that flow, that great flow state. And so, and that takes you stepping out of the way, giving that space. But it's not a place of giving up and be like, oh, it's never going to happen to me. Because if you look, think about the map of consciousness, like right here, I'm going to go ahead and share it. Hey, Audra. So the map of consciousness here, I mean, if you're over here still staying in this place of shame or guilt or apathy along the way, you're going to be stuck in this vicious cycle that's just going to kind of keep you there. So instead of feeling like you're in a spiral, you're going to feel like you're in some kind of circle and you're going to be like, why does the same thing keep happening? And it's because, like, now, what if it's not the same thing? What if it's just something that's deeper, first off? But you have to be careful of like how you're thinking, what perspective you're letting in. Like, are you thinking, oh my God, this is never going to work? Like, doesn't matter how many times that I plant these seeds, it's never going to happen. It's like, are you serious? You don't think you can ever learn to do better? You can't ask somebody like maybe what fertilizer to use that already has their seeds planted and they're fruiting. This is where you get your mentors. This is where you find other people to help you out. We're not meant to be islands. So it's like, realizing that you have a lot more power to your part too, and then the rest of it allowing. Because when you're giving up, there's probably more you could do on your part. You just don't want to do it. But when you're surrendering, you did your part and you're allowing the rest to work for you. So, okay. Um, any questions or anything so far? Okay. So, as you sow, so shall you reap. There's a time to plant and a time to harvest. These are all biblical verses, Bible verses. And this is what Jesus was teaching. A farmer knows that each season serves a purpose. And when you feel everything's dying off, like relationships, momentum, motivation, whatever it may be that's going on in your life, it may just be a time for, it's like a spiritual winter. It's a time for rest, relaxation, renewal, self-reflection, introspection. It's a time for pruning, cutting back what's excessive so that you can grow better the next time. Because that happens. Like when you're going really well, you don't notice some of the stuff that needs to be pruned back. So at the time that this is happening, you can start taking care of things, and making sure that the next time around when things start blooming again, it's going to be the better blooms. And so this is also how God works through process, patience, and pattern. You'll notice there's a pattern to life, the cycles of life, the seasons, like as above, so below. The laws of the universe talk about this. The Bible, everything talks about this that goes deeper into this kind of stuff, the metaphysical. And I did want to mention something else too, because like some people when they're going through downs, there's different kinds of healings that happen. So there's like three different kind of healings that happen for people. And I want to mention this part because I think it's important for people to know that it goes a little bit deeper than just talking about what's happened in the past or uh some of like how some counselors and psychiatrists they'll come into stuff and they'll want to talk about what's going on, what happened, and kind of keep you stuck in the mind. So, where are we at? I'm gonna pull it up because I didn't want to talk too much on it, but it really is a good thing to understand. So, three layers of healing. Psychiatric layer, this is when you focus on chemistry and symptom control. So, like people with chemical imbalances of the brain. And that sometimes it's necessary for stabilization. But here's the thing, it's not for transformation. It just stabilizes the person. So, this could be a good first step for people who do really have significant or some kind of chemical imbalances. And then there's psychological layer. But like, going back to that, but the medicine is not going to be enough for the transformation. They have to go deeper. So once they're stabilized and they're here with you, then you can and their nervous system is stabilized, then we can work on the healing and transformation. So then there's a psychological layer. It focuses on story and meaning, the past, the present, great for awareness, but it can get you stuck in loops of analysis and not actually feeling the feeling. It gets you stuck in the head. And this is how some counselors and all that can really can do things is like more of the psychological, thinking about it and doing that instead of the actual feeling the feeling. They may say feel the feeling, but you never really get to that part. And then now you can. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Uh, and then you've got the psychological. What's good about it, really, though, I want to mention this is the awareness because awareness really does help you get to the next step. So let's say the psychiatric, if there's chemical imbalance, okay, let's stabilize that. Psychological, let's bring awareness to what's going on. And then metaphysical layer. This is a layer that most people don't get to, or not that I've noticed. It focuses on energy, vibration, and alignment. And this is where feelings become freedom. So like you understand that they all have to align your thoughts, your feelings, and your truth, your actions. And so, um, so the thing about medication talk therapy is they can't reach energy that's been stored in the nervous system. The only way that you can do that is actually by feeling it. So next week we are going to talk about how to feel through things too as they're happening. But right now I'm just talking about the awareness of the cycles and how life can play out so that instead of taking it so seriously, like, oh my gosh, I've really screwed up, or oh my gosh, this is so awful that this is happening. You can see that, hey, what is it that I'm supposed to be learning here? What is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me? How can this get any better? Without thinking there's any kind of like constraints or boxes that everything have to fit into. You don't have to think, oh, it has to go through this system first, or it has to go like this, or I'm going to have to do this now. Like that, the way the physical world works, we usually want to go through those rules in that way. But like if you go through the energetic way, I feel like it's like the back door. You can open up like miracles. Like I don't know. There was a girl yesterday, I was talking to her about all this, and she was wanting a practical way to make money. And she said, I just got let go of my delivery driver job. And I don't know what I'm going to do now. And so I was talking to her about energy, and she starts crying after I asked her a few questions. And because she didn't want to answer the questions to reveal stuff. And I said, this is where your resistance is. Let it go. Let it out. It's okay. And I was like, whenever you feel appropriate, let it out. And then she went to the bathroom and she came back, and all of a sudden her phone's blowing up. And then she was like, wow, they just messaged me and said that was an error and letting me go. So they just rehired me. And now I have all these other people messaging me about all this other stuff too. And I was like, see, it was that releasing that resistance. And I know that seems like it's such a simple thing, but you didn't have to do anything else. And you thought you did. So sometimes it really is just like understanding that there may be some resistance that you're needing to let go of, not think that everything has to follow certain rules. Unless it's a universal law, it's you don't it's there, you know. And there's man-made laws, of course, and all that. But universal laws, you can't go against that. This is gonna happen. So, going back to this. So the ocean, the law of rhythm, that's kind of how it goes, the in and the out, the ups and the downs. Everything flows out and in, everything has tides, and all things rise and fall. This is the law of rhythm. It's Hermetic law of rhythm. And the Bible mirrors this truth with the same verse. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So the ocean doesn't resist its tides, it trusts the moon's pull. Likewise, we're invited to trust the divine timing of our own tides, the pull of God's hand shaping our lives. When you resist your low tide, your rest, your emotions, your stillness, you create friction. But when you allow it, you begin to flow with divine timing. That's when peace returns. So, like, whenever things are happening like this, like sometimes you'll be like, I have to do this, I have to do that, and you're like worried in your head. But like worrying won't get you anywhere. But I totally understand like why we go to that because we think that we need to control it all. We need to take care of it all. But in that moment of worry, if you can just take a step back and be the observer of what's going on, just breathe and just look around like you're an outsider, just looking around at what's going on. Take a moment so you can remain calm and then be still. What is it that you can honestly do in the moment that can make it better? Like maybe it's just praying or meditating. Like it's not going to be worrying. I can tell you that. If it's not something that you can honestly do in the moment, it probably goes to surrendering in the moment. And usually when I do the surrender, I meditate or I pray. So likewise, just like the ocean relies on the moon for its pull, we do need to rely on the pull of God's hand shaping our lives. And we have to step out of the way. So sometimes at these downtimes, what we're being shown is like what we do really have control over and what we don't. So that you can, and also to remember, like sometimes people don't pray religiously. They go back to God during the bad times. So sometimes you just need to return back to God. And it's like allowing that to be, allowing the energy of all it is to flow through you and understanding that you don't have control over everything. And Gandhi like conquered without picking up a gun and he was in jail. Like that's pretty impressive. That's what you can do with God. What you can do on your own can't even compare. As above, so below. The Hermetic law of correspondence says, as above, so below, as within, so without. This means that the patterns you see in nature, like the seasons, the tides, growth, death, rebirth, also live inside of you. Side note about rebirth. Like when people say they've been reborn or that, Jesus mentions you need to be reborn, some people could be major, major one way, like sinner. They could even be homosexual or whatever. And I'm not saying my own judgment of anything about any of this, okay? But I'm just saying that all of a sudden they can be reborn and now they're not anymore. Like it's crazy what can happen. You could be blind and now you're not anymore. It's you get reborn because now you have new eyes. You're now allowing God in and maybe you didn't previously. And so that's that rebirth. Yeah, and you're made in God's image, which means his laws are written in your body and in your emotions. So these hermetic laws that we've noticed, man's noticed over thousands and thousands of years, the universal laws that we've noticed and we've written down, and then what Jesus has come down and taught us, it all goes together to understand there is like a kind of like a code to all of this. There is something to understand and it helps. So when the moon controls the ocean's waves, your emotions often rise and fall too, just like the ocean. They come in and out. And nothing's linear. Again, like even you think you cried it over something, then something else may happen. It brings it back up and you feel it deeper in a different way and it comes back up again. It's because these spirals. Because life isn't like this. It's like this. So when nature slows in winter, your spirit might feel quiet or still too. And when you're not separate from the universe, you're a part of it. All of this is like just like I don't know, it's like a way to understand ourselves more, everything, the world around us, everything that's happening. And when you just take a moment, just watch, it's interesting how like a bee could solve a problem just by doing something. And you're like, oh, yeah. And it's because it's all there for you. So when things get hard, instead of saying, why me? It's this too, really what you should be saying. This too is God's rhythm moving through me. This is all coming through me and for me, as me. So it's like, what is there for me here? There's something for me, even in the down times. Maybe it's reconnecting to God, like I said. Maybe it's going deeper into your own faith, going deeper in your own wisdom, having those pains so you understand that level just a little bit more. And you can go back into the blooming season with that wisdom, with that new, you know, certainty, that clarity. With wisdom comes clarity. And I think that's just so important to have. Universal law alignment. So the law of rhythm teaches everything changes. This too shall pass. The law of polarity teaches you can't know light without dark. The law of cause and effect teaches every seed creates a result in its season. And then the law of vibration teaches emotion is energy in motion. So what you're feeling is creating that vibration. What you do is going to have an effect. You're going to have the good and bad show up in your life because you can't have a greater understanding without that. And that's kind of how all this happens anyways. It's between the good and bad being here. The law of polarity is like pretty much what creates the space for everything to be here. And then the law of rhythm is that, everything does change. So it's like the Bible says the same thing. We reap what we sow. Be still and know that I am God. That's rhythm and trust. When I'm having going through a hard time, I think that verse so much. And I'll be also thinking, how can this get any better? How can it get any better than this? And I am so thankful for everything that I have, what I'm able to still do and all of that. And so faith, and then another one, faith without works is dead. Action creates effect. No, love never fails. So that's the highest vibration, law of vibration right there. Universal laws are simply the mechanics of how God's spiritual truth plays out in the physical world. So y'all know I have that map of consciousness that was inspired by Dr. David R. Hawkins. Helps us see that emotions exist on a scale like waves. So there's those low vibrations, but they aren't bad. They're simply heavier energies that pull us downward so we can release what no longer fits. This is the time like rock bottom. Like you have to let it go to come up, to rise up. That's that surrendering it, letting go of that thought, letting go of that feeling, letting go of what's not working for you anymore, so that you can start rising up and feeling lighter and lighter and higher and higher. Higher vibrations, love, joy, peace, enlightenment are lighter and they lift us closer to God's presence. This to me isn't like just being lifted up. This is like when I look at it as like a vessel with the energy of all that is that's flowing through us. And I know I've mentioned this in previous classes, but the trauma and everything that's happened to us in our lives like create like some kind of like stuck gunk on your vessel, like a pipe, like a plumbing pipe. And then that's where you have some restriction. When you have a thought that goes against what truth is, it creates a resistance. And then we tend to create more and more and more resistance as we get older in life. So we actually feel less of God's energy in us. And and we're gonna be like, "Oh, why do I feel like this? I guess it's just getting older." No, it's holding on to too many things. This is why you get sicker. This is why we start falling apart. It isn't that this is just getting older. It's what happens when you hold on to too much stuff that was never meant to be held on to. It's just meant to be experienced. It was meant to flow through you because you were a vessel. It was never meant to be held on. And when we hold on, we create that like gunk. And to me, when we lift in higher vibrations, when we're in the lower vibrations, it's holding on to all that gunk. all those thoughts that didn't work and that aren't working for you, but you're holding on to them for dear life because for some reason you think that's what's making you survive. And instead, like when you start rising up and letting go of some of that thoughts that aren't working for you and rising up like, okay, I don't have to work hard for my money. Oh, wow. Oh, I don't have to like perform for love. I don't have to earn somebody's love. I don't have to. Okay. Oh, wow. Things can come to me easily. I am loved and I am supported. I am. And then, like, so you start releasing all of this stuff because you are, I am. All the things that you thought you weren't and weren't deserving of, that wasn't ever true. So you let that stuff go. And then uh and then you start feeling better and it like opens up the energy to feel all of God's energy flowing through you. That's the way I look at it. So, yes, and you feel like you're higher up too because of that. And it's like because you are closer to God. Cleanliness is next to godliness. And it's like cleaning that vessel out, releasing all of that stuff, surrendering all of that, believing that maybe you don't know it all. You don't have it control over it all. You can't. So it's like letting that go. And does that make sense? Yeah.
It does.
I know I just keep talking. It's just like it's a it's something that I'm very passionate on is just understanding that just because it's a downtime doesn't mean that you have to feel bad about like you may feel bad, okay? You may feel sad, you may feel fear, you may feel grief, all of that. And that's okay to have those feelings. Because where that feeling is coming in is showing you some gunk that you've held on to. It's making an awareness to something. And it's like, okay, like you're feeling sad. Like maybe you felt like this is the way it was supposed to be and it didn't happen that way. So it's sad. Well, it's the belief that you thought it was supposed to be that way. What if you can just accept that it wasn't? And you let it that go. You let that belief go. And or you may believe that um this was the only way to make your money and now it's not there anymore, so it's really sad. Like a lot of us, it's holding on to something thinking that that was the way or this is the way it needs to be instead of allowing it to be what it is. And so like when you can start doing that, allowing and surrendering and accepting what is and coming to grace with the things you can't change, it does feel lighter because you're letting go of those beliefs that you have to control all of that. And controlling all of that is exhausting because you can't control other people. You can't control all that stuff outside of you. You can only control what's inside of you, how you choose to think and how you choose to, and now your thoughts are going to make you feel a certain way. So it's like, what thoughts are you entertaining? So every part of the spiral, every motion is a part of the spiral. Just like the map of consciousness, I think the map of consciousness should actually look like a spiral. Each one is an invitation to rise. So at this downside, it's you're sharpening your pencil. You're looking back like, okay, what can I cut off? What's not working? All right, where could I have better boundaries? Where can I have better discernment? Really, because boundaries come from discernment and being clear of what's in alignment with you, what feels right, what brings you enlightenment and joy and peace, instead of thinking that you have to force that from something else, is understanding that your discernment creates your boundaries, that creates the path of clarity to what you're in alignment with. So um so example, fear teaches us to trust. Anger teaches us boundaries. Grief teaches us love. Shame teaches us compassion, and courage opens the door to faith. The shadow, we had a class about this. The obstacle is the path. The shadow, the challenge, whatever it is that you're being faced with, is what you're supposed to be being faced with because it's teaching you something. You have to go through that. Like you have to go through that door to get to the next one. You want to go to that next one? You have to go through this door. You have to go up this step. You have to do that thing. So you can't fully process a cycle though without feeling it. You can intellectualize it all you want. You can talk about it all you want, like we are here, and you can be like, oh, I'm feeling so good talking about this. But until you actually get into the nitty-gritty of feeling the feeling that's coming up and actually allowing it to flow from you, feeling it in the heart, bringing it into the heart, not just feeling it stored in the body somewhere. Like maybe for a second, guys, let's do this. Just feel into your body. Breathe. If you need to, close your eyes. Where do you feel some kind of pain, some kind of tension, uncomfort in the body? That's something that's been stored. That's something that needs to be let go of. And it's like, now it may have been an injury that caused it. There can be many things, but can you move that emotion? Can you feel that emotion? Can you, and it may not come up right away. Emotions come up when they need to, guys. Okay. You don't have to feel into your body and be like, let's bring this emotion up. Let's feel into, no, you don't have to do all that. Okay. It shows itself. So when you need to deal with it, it will show itself. Okay. So, but I want you to just pay attention to the body because the body tells you so much. Pay attention to your breath. Like when you're feeling something, make those breaths longer. Take control, be the observer behind that emotion, but allow that emotion to be. Feel it in the heart, bring it into the heart. Because you may, when you first feel it, you may feel it in the heart, and then you may just be trying to store it down or like be like, this, I can't be crying over this, or this is stupid. No, don't judge yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. This is the time. Now, if it's appropriate, maybe it's not an appropriate time at that time. Observe the feeling and let it know that you're going to get back to it. You're like, you know what? I'm going to get back to you. Okay. We need to have this feeling, but right now it's not appropriate. Okay. And then get back to it. Like navigate, like go back whenever you are in a comfortable area and be like, okay, let's get back into this. Let's get to know this again. Where was this coming from? And then this is like feeling it is what integrates it. So when you feel the fear and you do it anyways, that's what allows the courage. When you feel it and you allow it to happen, you know what happens? Like the moment that you allow the feeling to actually happen, it was the resistance of the feeling that was feeling so bad and creating thoughts that made it even worse. Like it feels good because you go to a level of acceptance. And acceptance vibrates at a 350. It's pretty high. It's above courage. It's above willingness. It's above a neutrality. It's acceptance. And like you finally accepted that you do feel that way and you're allowing it now. You're surrendering to it. You're allowing it to flow. Now it's not stuck anymore. And like when you allow it to flow, and you may notice that this feeling comes up a few times at different times. And at first you may have thought you got it all out, but we go through these cycles and you feel it deeper and you understand it deeper and you have a greater wisdom every single time. So don't think that you'll know it all at once because you cried. It will reveal something for you, but there's still so many more deeper things to understand. And like it's interesting because no matter how deep you think you have it, you can have another lesson in that thing because maybe that's your purpose is to fully understand this thing. Maybe you're supposed to be the teacher in that thing. So it keeps coming back around so you fully understand or you understand it on a deep level. There's so many things why it happens for you. It's your life, it's your journey, it's the game you chose. So it's like, okay, what is my purpose? What am I doing? And what if your purpose isn't just completely like a solid thing? But it also comes in spirals and is also like, one part of your life you could be like a botanist, the next part of your life you're a teacher, another part of your life you own a coffee cafe. Like it's so many experiences for you. So it's not like anything's stuck unless you allow it to be stuck. So how to handle the downtime. So when life dips, you pause before reacting. This whole observer thing that I'm talking about, like taking a breath, just take a breath while it's happening. Like you may feel the emotion coming up and be like, ooh, okay. Take a breath, look around. I like to kind of imagine that like I just showed up like, Quantum Leap, that movie or that show where the guy would quantum leap into people's bodies.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like to imagine that I quantum leaped into my own body and like I'm a new outsider like looking in, seeing like what's going on here. So I can like come from a place of neutrality and just breathe, look around, and then like what is God trying to show me here? What is this for me? And then inhale the peace, exhale the resistance. Breathe in the life, exhale, and acknowledge your emotion. I'm feeling this feeling has a message. Like if it's sadness, anger, whatever it is, what is it trying to tell you? It's telling you something about yourself. What is it trying to tell you? And then find the meaning. How can this be working for me, not against me? So that's like the analysis and then surrender. This is when you pray. Lord, help me trust the rhythm. Even this has purpose. So it's like understanding there's a reason that this is all happening and just being in the moment. Even if the moment sucks. Like I just had a crazy experience and I meditated through a lot of it when I could. And then it's like, you know, and I prayed and it was amazing what came out of it. Like it just completely turned around. And and you know, it was I do believe that God protects us. Like even when people are trying to hurt us, God can protect us. And so especially when you allow that space for that. And sometimes you don't even need to allow that space. Somebody around you may believe in it for you, so it helps too. So write in your journal. I think that everybody should have a journal. Where am I in my season right now? So the cycles of life, guys, that we've done before that worksheet, I'm going to put this in the chat too, so that you guys can go right back to it. But this is one where if you want to kind of understand your own cycle and where you are, this can help to go through. Oh, here, let me see if you didn't get the other form. And this is the other form. This is just like um, I think for today, a handout to go through the class with us today. So cycles of life. We've been through this before in one of our previous classes, but this is the 7 year cycles. So every 7 years is a cycle, but within a year, I think is 7 cycles too. So it's 52 days. Every 52 days from your birthday is a new cycle. It's really cool to understand this because this brings awareness. So with awareness can come healing because understanding, you see things differently. So you don't think like, you don't have to be like, oh, I wasn't a victim. This was happening because it needed to happen. Okay. Like, oh, all the plants died after I planted them and harvested them. You don't have to be a victim that they all died. You can just be like, oh, okay, this is part of the season. All right, so I'm supposed to actually be fertilizing the soil and tilling it under. Okay, so it's like great. It's almost like you have your own manual, to be able to work off of. And it's like, okay, this makes sense. All right. And there you have it. So you can have your own little, and I'll just go ahead and share my screen real quick so you guys can see this. Um, and we've gone through this in one of the classes. So if y'all want to go back through the school community and find that class, and you can watch that class again. But this one right here, the cycles of life. So it's the Rosicrucian 1 year cycle with 52-day phases. And then so you put in your information, and then here it just talks about what phase are you currently on. What challenges, lessons is this phase highlighting for you? What actions, intentions align with this phase? And then down here, I'll just show you all the phases. So the first phase is planting, and then nurturing, cultivation, harvesting, expansion, adjustment, and completion. During the completion stage, this is where people can like feel like everything is going wrong in their life and they're losing friends, they're losing relationships, they're losing like work, they're everything's just being lost. So this can be a stage that is really hard for people because this is when the plants die. And then you have to go back to planting again, nurturing, and you do that all over again. But you do it with wisdom, hopefully, the next time around. You know how to do it better. And that's the point. It's like you're not supposed to, life isn't supposed to get worse. It's supposed to get better because you have more understanding and awareness about it, new wisdom. So that's what cycles of life. So you guys can play with that some. So we're gonna go back to uh, the teaching. So so in your journal, where are you in your season right now? The planting, the growing, the harvesting, or the resting? What lesson might God be teaching me in this part of my spiral? How can I soften and into trust instead of forcing control? Guys, it's the downtimes that we try to control so much. Like at least until we finally surrender or feel like giving up. And like when you do feel like giving up, like I said earlier, it is not the time to give up, it's the time to surrender. It's a different energy. You're making room and you're not coming from a victim mindset. You're like, you know what? I don't know what else I can do. So, I'm going to pray, going to meditate, going to go for a walk, done my part, and then allowing the rest of it to go. And what emotion have I been judging that might actually be trying to help me? How many times have we judged our emotions? Like, "Ugh, you shouldn't be sad. That's stupid. You should have known better." Like, or you can't be this way because of this. Like whatever. So you're not allowing yourself to feel the emotion. It's okay. You may be hearing a voice that somebody when you were younger told you, and you adopted their voice in your head. Like you're too emotional. No, you're not. It's okay. Let it go. You've held on to a lot of stuff. That's probably why you're emotional. Nobody allowed you that safe space. So you got to be that person now that allows that safe space for you to feel and to honor yourself, not to abandon yourself, to be compassionate, loving. So here's some affirmations. I am in rhythm with life and with God. Every tide has purpose. Every low has wisdom. Every rise brings light. I trust the spiral that's carrying me higher. And of course, you can say so many affirmations. I like to say, I am fine, I am divine, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy. And you can come up with your own affirmations. I've come up with several along the way, but whatever you're dealing with, usually it's whatever your problem is, whatever the belief that's supporting that problem, the opposite belief usually should be your affirmation. Like if you think that you got to work hard for money, now your affirmation is money comes to me gracefully and from all good places, and it comes to me easily and abundantly. And then you just say that over and over and over. I like to say my affirmations in the mirror, and I like to post them on the mirror so I see it every time I'm in the mirror. So, closing thought, the ocean doesn't fight the tide, the farmer doesn't fight the season, and you don't have to fight your process either. Your cycles of your life. You don't have to fight it. It's understanding what part you're in so you can take the most advantage of that part. When you trust the rhythm, the natural divine flow, peace returns. You don't have to control it. You don't have to force it. You can just understand it. And that's how you live happy, healthy, and abundant. So tomorrow, next week, what we're going to be going over is feeling to heal. So how to let the emotion move through you. Because so you can change that vibration. You're not holding into stuck emotions that are just kind of keeping you in the same place. And we'll explore what happens in the body when emotions get stuck and how to move through them with breath, awareness, prayer, and energy. So the wave doesn't drown you, it lifts you. So anybody have any questions or anything that you guys would like to add?
I was a little distracted before coming on the call because I was doing some self-reflection over something that happened.
Oh, that's funny. So did this
Yeah,
go with it?
I think so. Um, Saturday, I was on a phone call with someone, and the intention was to identify what's no longer serving me and let it go.
Mhm.
And it took 35 minutes of back and forth to finally identify what it was. She knew, but she wanted me to see it for myself. And we're blind to our own spots, right? Especially the big one. And
Mhm.
so what it ended up being was what's no longer serving me that I need to let go is doubt. I don't see it on that list of consciousness thing, but maybe it ties in with fear. But
Yeah.
that was the big thing. So that showed up today. And I didn't recognize until after the fact when I'm self-reflecting, like, what the heck happened here? That was it. And here's what happened. I'm going to Sedona for 2 days to kick off learning how to do breathwork facilitation. And when I booked the hotel room a long time ago, I made it for 2 double beds, anticipating maybe someone might share a room. I'll just be available. I'm not like a share a room kind of person, and I've never shared a room with a stranger, but I just had the sense of be available. So I did it. Well, as it turns out, someone on the group chat in the cohort said, anyone still looking for a roommate? I'm like, I have a room available. And she's like, awesome. Just tell me what you need. And I was like, I'm thinking that when you share a room, you share a room, like you share all of it, the cost and everything, like you split it in half. And I said, okay, well, here's the room total. Let's split it in half. And she came back and said, I'm a mom of 3 teens with a big budget. I don't have that. And I said, okay, well, tell me what you can do with what you have with where you are. And she said, maybe $150. And I'm thinking, you're coming to Sedona. You're going to need that for just food for 4 days. It's expensive there. And I said, then I told her, I said, Sedona's expensive. You're going to need $150 for food. Just come. And she said, okay, thank you. And so then I'm like, I was telling my husband this interaction, and he goes, she didn't tell you that from the beginning. She couldn't afford a room. And I'm like, well, no. And he thought that sounded kind of fishy. And then I thought that sounded kind of fishy. So I looked up her name in our group in online to see if she was a member of our cohort, and I couldn't find her name. So then I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of like WhatsApp. This is a complete stranger. I can't find her in our group. So then I sent a message to I sent a message to, I texted one of the organizers. I said, can you just verify that this person is in our group? Because I can't find her in the members. And then then I messaged this lady back and I said, hold on, before, um, something like before we go any further, I need just to confirm that you're in the group because I can't find you. I'm waiting for a response. But that's not exactly what I said. I better be honest about what I said. I said because it wasn't really transparent, I need to trust and verify. I'm just waiting for someone to confirm that you're in our group because I can't find you.
Mhm.
And she said that she was just signed up yesterday and that she had posted in the videos and stuff. And um, while I was waiting for the response from the organizer, she said, thank you for your, I don't know, thank you for your graciousness and kindness, but I'm going to decline. She didn't even wait for confirmation, which I ended up getting, but she let it go. And I sat back and I'm like, okay, what happened in this interaction? What went wrong here? And I'm like, oh, my doubt showed up.
Mm.
and it collided with what's no longer serving her and what she needs to release. And it was pride. And I'm like, we do that to each other. What's in us that no longer serves us that we need to let go collides with other people's what they need to
Mhm.
let go. And I was like, oh, well, now I know. I don't know.
I think that was you using discernment when you found out you may not found the person. I don't think that was doubt, really.
Yeah, well, I didn't trust the situation. So there was doubt.
Hmm.
Is this person really who they say they are instead of just trusting the process? You know what I mean? But I don't know. For whatever reason, the two of us were supposed to meet, whether we were to be roommates together or just to be mirrors to each other, to
Hmm.
show us things that needed to be worked out in
Yeah.
each individual person, which really was, it's my intention to release that in this breathwork session. That's my intention, is to release the doubt. And it hasn't been released yet, apparently, because it showed up today.
Hmm.
But you're calling it discernment. So maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't
I
know.
think sometimes we get into too much analysis,
Okay.
instead of just feeling the feeling. And then
Mm-hmm.
and life has a way of revealing, like,
Uh-huh.
if what you were feeling was right or wrong, and, like, in your intuition. But, like, first off, like, going to your husband and talking about it, and then, changing the way you thought, that means it wasn't your intuition that instigated the discernment. It was your husband's doubt. Um, but
It my my intuition wouldn't, well, I wouldn't have brought it up with him just
Mhm.
before he was leaving for work if it wasn't an intuitive hit, something's wrong.
Oh, okay.
I wanted him to validate. So I'm like, what do you think? You know what I
Okay.
mean?
So your intuition hit. I think that we shouldn't second guess our intuition by overanalyzing anything. Just there's no telling. Like, you may have just, like, totally bypassed something that could have been really bad. And you have no idea. And maybe her thing is pride, but um it could have been a bad time had you not said anything, or she may have been like, oh, I can take more advantage, or I don't know. There's no telling. Okay, this is all just thoughts and analyzing. So analyzing, overanalyzing can, like, get us where we're like over we're overcomplicating it. So it's like, okay, there's nothing wrong at all for confirming somebody's who they say they are, especially if you're going to stay in the same room with them. I feel like that's discernment. And then, yeah, and it's okay if you feel doubt. Like, there's nothing wrong with feeling doubt, unless it is causing a problem. But that didn't cause a problem. I mean, you didn't lose anything. And, like,
No, except that now with this person going, if she does go, it's going to be kind of awkward.
it doesn't have to be. You don't have to believe that either. You don't have to believe it's gonna be awkward. You can just be like, whenever you can feel that feeling, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be awkward, and then digest that, and then be like, what do you want it to be when you see her? And then put that out instead.
Hmm.
I've I've had so many awkward situations because I'm just naturally weird. And, like, so what I'll do is I'll be like, okay. um I'll process whatever emotion I'm having over that, and then, like, when I see that, and then I think about what I want it to be like, and the next time I see that person, and when I see that person, it's more of what I envisioned instead of what I was worried about. What you worry about is what like, the thing to let go of is, like, don't worry about it being an awkward I mean, you can worry about that, but it's not going to do anything good for you. It may even set up for that to happen, because she's going to feel your energy. So all of us, we're all connected. So, like, if you're feeling it's going to be awkward, she's going to feel that feeling too. But if you start putting love towards her, And even do the forgiveness prayer if you felt like you did anything wrong in any of that interaction, which I don't see anything wrong in that interaction. But if you felt like you did anything wrong in that interaction, you could do the forgiveness prayer and picture love being sent to her. Feel from your heart that you're sending love to her, and that not like, of course in a weird way or something, but like, just like seeing her as just a person. And then when you see her, smile and say hi. And you can even say, hey, I didn't mean to come off weird. I just want to make sure I wasn't getting with a serial killer or something like, and make a joke about it or whatever. You could, however you want to handle it, but break the ice if you need to make like lessen the tension. But I yeah, I don't think that's a big deal. I would totally understand if somebody wanted to verify who I am if I was staying in their room. It would totally make sense to me.
Mhm. Yeah, and I felt like I misinterpreted what she needed because it wasn't clear.
Mhm.
Like I had this own definition of what a roommate was, you know, because I'd never shared with a room with anybody. I just thought everybody split it, especially women, you
No,
know.
that's normal. Most people don't come in thinking that somebody's going to give them a room or give them a discount on the room. Most people are coming in thinking they got to pay for their half.
Mhm.
Yeah, or ask for help, not expect it, you know. Um, like if she had come in and told people I don't have enough room, money for the room, does anybody have an extra room? I think that would have been a little more transparent and honest than the way it came in.
Yeah, she went back into the group later and um, said that she was a busted roomie.
Okay, so that's good. See, that's it. And
So
that
that
can be,
she made herself a little bit more understood, you know.
yeah. See, that's good. Maybe that's what you were showing her was the misunderstanding, and then she was able to correct that and then say, okay.
Hmm.
And then anybody who wants to come in and help, that gives them the space for that. So yeah. Well, I hope you guys have fun. I bet it's gonna be fun.
It is, I think. I
Yeah.
need to create a playlist though. Did you use playlists when you were facilitating breath work?
Yeah, I liked uh the Devi prayer, DEVI prayer.
Okay.
Big one I used.
For the whole thing?
Well, it depended. There's a 20-minute and a 40-minute one, so it just
Uh-huh.
depends on how long you did it. But most of the time, yeah, it was the whole thing.
Okay. The sessions that I've done with them before, and it had beats, and so you were breathing in rhythm.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has their own way of doing it. I was taught more the Indian way.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, anybody else? Anybody want to add anything else or have any questions? Okay. All right, well, awesome. So next week we're going to go into like how to actually feel it, let it go so that we can actually integrate what the lesson was so that you can bring in that new wisdom because without feeling it and only analyzing it psychologically, you only get so far and you get kind of stuck in the lesson instead of actually going past it. So like after you analyze it, then it's the feeling part. You want to identify what's going on and then feel it, and even if the feeling comes up, yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Audra. And um when the feeling comes up, like that's when you can feel it. Like just feel it. Um and I know that seems simple, simply said, because sometimes the feelings come up in awkward situations, but that's when you can observe it, take a step back and then come back to it when it's appropriate. And this is when you can practice being the observer, which can be very powerful in a lot of situations. So I'm excited for next week's class. So I'll see you guys next week on Tuesday, and you guys have a great weekend.